Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you another Horus Heresy tutorial. This time, we're going to focus on the new Contemptor Dreadnought from the Age of Darkness box set. The Warhammer community team has stated that this model is extremely poseable, and I want to put that to the test. As someone who has played around with, built and painted the old plastic Contemptor Dreadnought, which was one of the most horribly mono-posed miniatures that I've ever had my hands on. It's really difficult to do anything with. The head is stuck in one spot and everything. It's just not a fun kit. So let's see what improvements they have made. And in this video, I'm also going to cover how to magnetize the weapons on your Contemptor Dreadnought so that you can swap them out for different games, for different purposes. And there's a couple of do's and do nots. It was definitely a learning experience on how to magnetize this. I made some mistakes along the way, but I think by the end of it, I figured out the best way to magnetize it. And I want to share with you guys here today. So stick around to learn all of these tips and tricks, and most importantly what not to do, and yeah, enjoy. Okay guys, so here it is, the new Contemptor Dreadnought kit. Now you may notice that I have the Forge World weapons in the middle. I've had these for years now. They were supposed to go on a different Dreadnought, and at the beginning of recording this video I thought I could show you guys a little bit about how compatible the resin Dreadnought arms and weapons would be with the new plastic one, seeing as how the kit didn't have all the options for all the different weapons. I had a plasma cannon and a conversion beamer in these blister packs here, and I thought it'd be really cool to show you different options. Halfway through recording this video is when the Warhammer community article dropped, which showed us that when the kit comes out as a separate option, it's going to have all the weapons in it. So discard those two. I'm not going to bother doing anything with them now, as we are going to get absolutely all the options when the full multi-part plastic kit gets released. I know that this one is full multi-part. I just mean when the one comes out that's separate from the Age of Darkness box set. So we're going to start with posing the miniature, obviously, before we get on to any of the magnetizations. It's very simple. You want to start with all of the individual components that make up, kind of, imagine the human body. So the foot, then from ankle to knee, from knee to hip joints, and then down the other side. So we're going to start with the legs first. So we're working from feet up to the top of the hips. And as you can see with these unbelievable new model, it is completely posable. Everything is on ball and socket joints. Everything moves around with great movement, dexterity, that kind of thing. They give you 2 sets of front toes for each foot, so you can decide which of the foot is leading and which is kind of going behind him, and so the kind of front of the foot can bend a little bit. Very rare, very nice touch. First thing you need to do is decide what kind of pose you are going to look for. What is it that you want your model to be doing? What action do you want it to be taking? How do you want its silhouette to be? That kind of thing. So what I recommend doing is basically building all of the miniature up to this state, and then getting your best friend, Mr. Blue Tack. I call this guy Mr. Blue Tack, but this is clearly white tack. Same idea, just tacky, sticky stuff that'll hold the models in place, or the parts of the models in place, while you practice different poses. So all you gotta do is put obviously the white tack in the joints, but it's still nice and flexible. You're able to bend it around, try and get the kind of pose that you want, or what you want your miniature to be doing. So I started by just kind of starting to hold it on the base, moving it around a little bit, trying to make a decision. I quickly realized that I wanted one of the feet to be up on top of something. That's a large real estate is the base, and his feet are actually quite small, so there's going to be a lot of plain, boring base around it, and I didn't want to leave it like that. I wanted to add something a little bit more intriguing, so I started thinking about what he's going to have his foot up on. I then remember that I'm going to be doing a kind of a build-off with a friend of mine, the Golden Chin, and we are going to be doing Legion versus Legion videos. So he's going to be Iron Warriors, and I'm going to be Imperial Fists, so the traditional arch enemies. So I decided, why not have a little bit of fun with this and get a dead Iron Warrior being stomped into oblivion by this Dreadnought. So I quickly started to pull out my bits and pieces and build a dead Marine to sit underneath my Contemptor's foot. Very simple, basically building a miniature, then kind of using my hobby saw to cut it at an angle so it sits flush. Then I started with the foot. This is going to be the first point of contact for me building my base, or building my Contemptor, sorry. So I quickly realized where I wanted to put the foot. It was going to go straight in the middle of his chest, maybe lower chest, I was like, okay, so now I saw the extra material that I needed to cut away. So I got to work with the clippers and cut away a bit of the lower torso. I then added a bit of spare sprue, because as big and strong and stompy as a Contemptor Dreadnought is, it's not going to crush a Space Marine flat. So it is not going to be the same level as the base. So basically I'm going to start by gluing the foot to the top of this bit of sprue. It's going to give me a little bit of height, something that I can cover up with basing materials and everything when it comes to the building and painting of this miniature. So you're not going to see this sprue or anything. There's going to be a lot of gore around the crushed Space Marine. This veteran old Iron Warrior that thought he could take on a Contemptor with his Power Fist and his Melta Gun. And once you've got your first piece glued down, that begins the entire process. You then literally work up that leg, across the hip joint, and then down the other leg, trying to keep everything level. One of the most important things to remember is the ball joint that's going to connect the hips to the torso. Try and keep that parallel to the base. You don't want the torso falling forward or leaning backwards. Obviously, if you've got a very specific kind of crazy pose in mind that you want to do, then of course take that into consideration. It might be good for you to have the torso built now so you can practice that. I like to keep the torso kind of up and straight because I have this idea of him kind of firing off to the left and over the top of the dead Iron Warrior. So I'm going to keep it parallel. So like I said, I've built the left foot up to the hip. This is all locked in place now. You can see now where I'm going to go for. And then I've quickly checked all the positioning of the other parts of the leg and then glued it all in place. So I have the bottom half of my miniature fully built, all stuck together, all ready to rock and roll. This would have been a lot quicker if I hadn't had so much fun with the crushed Iron Warrior. I don't apologize for that at all. It was so much fun and it's going to give my model a lot of character. I then have the abdominal piece and then the upper torso piece. And I put these on and I'm trying to kind of figure out where I want them to be looking. And as you can see, I tilt the head slightly left because I want this guy looking left over across the dead Marine. I want when someone picks up this model and looks at it head on, it's going to give this really nice line of sight of the dead Iron Warrior up the nice torso directly into the eyes of the Contemptor. And his weapon arm is going to be firing in that direction as well. So it's going to be quite a menacing thing. And it's going to start to tell that story. I haven't done it yet whilst constructing this miniature, but I am very, very tempted to add a really nice Melta Blast to the armor of this thing, just to signify that the Iron Warrior did manage to get a really nice shot off, caused some damage, but it wasn't enough to stop the Contemptor, and as such, it cost the Iron Warrior his life.
I'd do it again, and none of you could stop me.
Something to say that he didn't sell his life for absolutely nothing. He gave it his best shot. And being an Iron Warrior, he of course failed. Okay, so once I have these bits and pieces in place, it's time to start working on the magnetization, because it's all about the arms when it comes to magnetizing this miniature, finding out what works and what you want to do with that. So I quickly did the same thing I did with the legs, got some poses in place. I really, really like the look of the twin heavy bolter. It's just such a not powerful enough gun to be kind of towed around by a Contemptor Dreadnought. At least I feel like it's not as cool as it looks. You're going to be spending all those points to have this guy stomping around the table. You want to have a las cannon or a Melta Gun or something strapped to him, not just a pair of heavy bolters. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing here, but it's such a cool piece. Might take it in some more thematic games. So as you can see, I have him looking down the kind of the barrels of his own gun. They're all facing exactly the same direction, over across that silhouette of the Iron Warrior like I was talking about. Super happy with that. Now it's time to get them in place. So what I've done for the magnetization is a little bit different. I've kind of checked a few other bits and pieces about how they did it. What I did is I removed the ring entirely and replaced it with a 2x5 magnet. This means that it will slot right in between the joint on all of the weapons. And all you need to do is add a magnet to the weapons now to hold them in place. Now I know you saw a magnet inside of that gun. I really wasn't happy about the process I went through to get the magnet on that gun, and I did find a much better way of doing it. So I'm going to show you that now. First I'm going to show you how to apply the magnet. So you get the ring joint that holds the weapon, and with a sharp scalpel you cut away the ring. You want to leave the curve at the top closest to the shoulder joint in place. So you have that nice curve. Clean it up a little bit. You don't want any of the extra flesh. and then you just want to glue your 2x5 magnet in the ring's place. Now you may be screaming that this thing is going to stand at a mile, but once the miniature is sprayed and painted, you are not going to see this. You can paint the magnet jet black, and nobody's eyes are going to focus on this smooth black metallic thing in your miniature. It's just going to look like part of the model, so don't be worrying about that. So you simply glue the magnet into place here. It holds it quite nice and strong. Glue on the shoulder panels, and then this is what we are currently left with. Now it's a very simple case of magnetizing those weapons. If you look in the gap, as you can see, all I did was drill straight down and pop a magnet in there. It was such a simple task, and I'm super annoyed at myself that I didn't think about this at first. I basically glued 2 of the weapons and put magnets in them wrongly first. But hey, it's better that I make the mistake on these ones and then you guys make the mistake on your own ones. So as you can see, you can throw a melta gun, twin autocannon, that kind of thing. They're completely interchangeable. During most magnetization videos, it is very, very important to work out the polarities. You gotta figure out the polarities. That whole, carpenter's thing, measure twice, cut once, that whole thing. Make sure that you are doing that. One of the benefits of this is it doesn't really matter with the guns, with the polarities, because you're basically going to the side of the magnet and it's holding it firm. As you can see, there's a magnet on the top as well. Same idea. You may be screaming out that it's completely visible here, but once I spray this thing and add some paint to it, you're not going to see it. I add a quick 2x5 magnet to the top of the missile pod, and it snaps into place beautifully. And this is the posability now. You can swap out all the different arms, all the different weapon options, anything that you want to do. I think I have a pretty gnarly posed Contemptor. I am going to show you the ones that I of course did wrong, just to show you what I mean. I thought it made sense to drill into the side bits. As you can see there, I've done one in the left and one on the right hand side because I couldn't decide which arm should be the gun side. They do of course still work. When going in from the side, you obviously need to worry about the polarities. But both of these weapons work beautifully on both sides. There's just a little magnet sticking out the side that you'll have to cover up with a bit of weathering, or you glue on an extra piece to cover it up, or chipping, anything like that. Like I said, I did these 2 first, then realized how silly I was being and added in all the other magnets on the inside, and they hold in place beautifully. So hopefully you guys will learn from my mistake and you will do them all on the inside and we won't have this problem. And the final result is I think a quite nicely posed Contemptor Dreadnought, bolstering all the options for the larger scale guns. I thought about doing the magnetization on the little guns inside the hands, but that would be just too awkward. So I think just do your research, pick the gun that you want to have inside of your armored fist and go with that. I'm super excited to get this thing painted, and I might just go and get it sprayed up right now. Okay guys, that brings that video to a close. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned a little bit about how to pose a Contemptor. It's a lot to think about, or more to think about than most people realize when they think about posing a miniature. And I hope that you learn the do's and do nots to magnetize your own Contemptor Dreadnought, so you don't have to be stuck with one option. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like button. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, it would mean the world to me and the success of the 365 project. If you took 2 seconds out of your day, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions about anything that I did here today, make sure you drop them in the comments below and I will get back to each and every one of you guys. Thank you guys once again so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.